From the steps of the White House, welcome everybody. I am Brian Glenn, joined with Lilith and Philip as we make our first guest debut here at the White House. Pretty exciting, first of all, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Anyway, the president is set to speak here momentarily. The first time he's made a public appearance since the election. In the press conference today in the Rose Garden is Operation Warp Speed. And Philip, I can only imagine as well that the conversation of the election will be on the topic as well.
Absolutely. I think one thing that'll probably take priority is the news that just broke. A 90% effective vaccine coming out of Pfizer was able to deliver this vaccine that it mostly works. And I think that's something that the president's going to deliver his remarks on very heavily here today. He was crucial in making that happen. He was really pushing these pharmaceutical companies to make sure that they got this vaccine so that the American people could be healthy again. And I think that's probably one of the key things he's going to talk about. And maybe, the press will bring up something about the election.
There you go. Of course, he's talked about it so much during the election season about COVID-19, about having a vaccine ready for the American people. So you would imagine he has delivered on time. I mean, he promised this that it would be months, not years before maybe the Biden administration would be able to deliver a vaccine, but here we are today talking about it.
By the end of 2020 that we would have a vaccine that would be, ready for the American people to take. And I'm just very interested to see, and maybe you can add in some things too. I'm very interested to see how our governors are going to, act, because I believe Governor Cuomo has already kind of rejected the idea of people taking the vaccine. So here we're facing governors who are pushing the lockdowns, who are pushing all these things, and President Trump now has his vaccine out ready to go, ready to help the American people, and the governors are pushing back. It's almost as if they don't.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Of course, Biden in the last couple of days as well has focused in on getting a vaccine and getting our country back open. Although we have traveled in several states over the last couple of weeks, and I would say even as of today here, there are some counties in this area that have now a mask mandate. And of course, a lot of businesses have been shut down for this. A lot of closures, restaurants, gyms, churches even.
And you can just see over here too. I mean, the things that you see boarded up, they're out of business. It's done.
Yeah, it is done. And of course, it's hurting business. And that's been one of the focal points of the president so far this election, is getting our country back open, getting our kids back in school.
Absolutely, and I think one thing that's important to mention is tomorrow we have the March for Trump happening at the Freedom Plaza at 12 o'clock. That is here was for that, and now we're here. So I heard rumors that the mayor was trying to shut down the March for Trump, but the mayor didn't have a problem when the anarchists were running through the streets burning the city down, and the church, St. John's Church, which is just right around here, a beautiful old historic church, was about to be burnt, but she didn't have a problem with people marching then. But it seems like when it's time for Trump supporters to unite and support their president, there's an issue.
And of course, we're talking about Stop the Steal, a big rally here tomorrow. Now, I will add there's 3 rallies for the president that have all kind of come together to make one giant rally for the president, and that's exactly what you're talking about there. And of course, one of the organizers, Ali Alexandra, I talked to earlier about that, and he said, yeah, the mayor gave him a lot of pushback on just coming out here and getting a permit.
Sure. Did you also see Eventbrite took down the event for the march tomorrow? They took it down so people wouldn't be aware and people wouldn't know that there's a march happening tomorrow. But for those of you that saw that Eventbrite took it down and you're thinking it got canceled, it didn't get canceled. It's happening tomorrow at noon. We're meeting at the Freedom Plaza tomorrow. There's going to be a ton of people. It's going to be huge.
Absolutely. And of course, it concludes at the Supreme Court steps there, which is pretty iconic as well. Hey, we want to remind everybody we are viewer supported, and also we have some great partners involved with this broadcast. Of course, tomorrow we have MyPillow, Mike Lindell. Who doesn't like a MyPillow? We love this guy. What a great patriot. But we also rely on donations by our viewers. So if you go to rsbnetwork.com/donate, rsbnetwork.com/donate. Please donate what you can. It takes quite a bit of resources to send all of us. I've been here for 4 days, and I will probably be here for 4 more days. So it definitely takes resources to make the world go around.
Yeah, you should just move here.
Yeah, I should. What's funny you said that. I actually looked at a studio apartment here in the area, and it was a lot less expensive than the hotel is right now. But we do want to thank everybody who's continued to push us across this country and follow the president for as long as we've been on the president detail for months and months. months, and of course with the RSBN network for years. So Joe, back at the studio, we certainly appreciate all the hard work those guys do as well. But we do have, we have a MyPillow thing, right? We want to give him a little plug. Why not? Because we love Mike Lindell. He's a great partner of the network, and I anticipate he will be on the stage with us tomorrow talking. So let's go over some bullet points for MyPillow.
Yeah. All right. So we know that getting a restful night's sleep is crucial to waking up on the right side, no pun intended, of the bed. And with Christmas right around the corner, now is a perfect time to check out one of our favorite Patriot-owned companies. Visit MyPillow.com and stock up on gifts for yourself and all your loved ones. MyPillow guarantees ultimate relaxation with a wide variety of items to choose from, ranging from ultra plush towels, dog beds, memory foam, mattress toppers, Giza Dream Sheets, and more. You check out all their inventory online at www.mypillow.com. Use code RSBN at checkout for up to 66% off your entire order. Again, that's code RSBN at www.mypillow.com. This is one of their hugest discount codes to date, so make sure to use it while it lasts. And truly, Thanksgiving is coming around the corner. Christmas is coming around the corner. So, you can show your love for some people and buy them. Check out their inventory. I didn't know they had stuff for dogs. I had no idea.
Yeah, that's great. They have dog beds. So I just recently got a Yorkie, so I would imagine he will be sleeping on a MyPillow bed as well. Hey, if you're just now joining us, we are live at the White House, just outside the Rose Garden, starting around 4 o'clock. The president will step out there, and this is his first interview and press conference since the election just a few weeks ago. And of course, so much has developed over the last few weeks in regards to the presidency. So it's interesting. Obviously this is about Operation Warp Speed, COVID-19, the biggest story in the world by far. And of course, he has promised a vaccine to be delivered to the public, which he promises is on the way. And I think it's very interesting. A couple of days ago, Pfizer came out like the day after the election for the most part and said, okay, we got this vaccine. It would have helped perhaps if we did it a few more days before, but nevertheless, that's the situation we have right now.
We know why that happened.
Yeah.
We know that why that happened. I'm not surprised. But I'm hoping, and I'm sure, let's put it this way, I'm anticipating for some questions to be brought up by the press for the election, and I'm sure that President Trump is prepared for those questions. So we're going to show you everything uninterrupted. And yeah, this is it. This is real life. We have a country to save, and we're here to do it with you.
Yeah, we want to let our president know, I know he watches RSBN Network, that we love you and we support you and we're here for you. And tomorrow we're going to show you millions of people that support you as well. And Philip, we've spent some time walking around the streets the last couple of days, and you just got here. You saw the flags, you saw the cars, the people, the signs. We had people in our hotel from California, New York, all over. We love this president, and I think the time now is for the American people to take the streets around the country and show him some love and support.
Absolutely. You're 100% right. The people who are wearing the masks, the flags driving around up and down Pennsylvania Avenue outside of our hotel, there's just tremendous support for this president. People I even saw in the airport traveling from all over the country to get here to Washington, D.C. for a march, which is going to be super patriotic, all about the USA, all about President Trump and supporting the president. There's so much support for our president that it's hard to believe that this election turned out the way it did, and we are looking into that. And we were just at a press conference in Philadelphia with Rudy Giuliani, right. And they said that they have seen the fraud, that there is fraud, and it is 100% believable because the support for this president is not a losing support, it's a winning support. He has so much support that he definitely won by a landslide.
And it's interesting how the Dominion topic was brought up weeks ago, and it was so dismissed as being almost a conspiracy theory, like it's almost impossible for something like that to happen. And as more and more people come out and more facts come out, sworn affidavits come out in regards to Dominion, we now know that was a tool that was used against this president, and that is wrong. And I think if anything comes out of this whole investigation is that maybe 4 years from now, when we do another election, that's looked at a little bit closer. We also can talk about mail-in ballots as well, and how that should majorly have a reform on that, because that opened up the door for a lot of fraud. But anyway, that's just probably one of the topics that the president will address today. And of course, the Rose Garden is just on the other side of that building right there, and we Didn't have a special invitation to go in there, but not today, but perhaps another time as well. So we're set up here shop. We're actually kind of on Media Row here. And if I wish we can kind of give you a side look on that. But anyway, we're glad you're joining us. And of course, we would like for you to tag a friend, share this broadcast, and get it on as many eyeballs as possible, as we will bring you all the coverage here. Plus, we'll bring the coverage from the rally tomorrow. We have various vantage points from the rally. They're anticipating a couple 100,000 people at this rally. We'll be out and about. What is the one thing that you're looking forward the most of covering tomorrow's action?
Well, that's hard to say. I think there's going to be so much support out there. Like I had said previously, it'll be really hard to pinpoint one thing, but the thing that I think I'm most excited to see is, even in the midst of the doom and the gloom that's being portrayed by certain outlets, the people are still showing up to support the president. They're still showing up to fight for those traditional American values, and that is exactly what Trump supporters are fighting for, are traditional American values, and they're carried out by President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, and the Republicans have done such a fine job congressionally of getting some of these houses, some of these seats flipped, and we've had more women in Congress, Republican women in Congress, than I don't want to say in history, but it's historical numbers that we've seen, and not just minorities. We've had veterans, we've had entrepreneurs, so we're doing wonderful things. And as far as Congress is concerned, on getting the voter fraud, getting the voting process cleared up, because that is one thing that we cannot move forward and have any trust in our elections if we don't believe them. And I heard a great quote the other day. It wasn't necessarily a voter fraud. It's we have little trust in the system itself and the voting process itself. So that is important that we get that cleared up, and maybe with all these investigations, that's one thing 4 years from now that we can look forward to. I'm looking forward to tomorrow to see, we've been Right Side Broadcasting, we've been on the road for months, for years, covering this president. We have never seen the support as we've seen it on this last campaign. And so personally, Philip, I'm looking forward to seeing the crowds, hearing the sound bites, hearing people say, you know what, he inspired me to do this, he inspired me to do that. He's a leader. We know all the opposition this president has faced the last 4 years, and actually faced before the election as well. So that's what I'm looking forward to tomorrow, is really hearing the stories, how he's inspired millions of Americans to just keep fighting and do their best.
Absolutely, and I think the number is, the president's gained 10 million more votes than the popular votes than the last time, and that's not even considering the widespread fraud that we believe is happening according to the press conferences and the calls that are being made out of the campaign. So there is more support now for the president than there was in 2016, and it is growing every single day. And I think that is what we're going to see tomorrow. We are going to see a fired up base of supporters, a growing base of supporters from every walk, every background, who are saying, you know what, I want to come here and I want to support the president. We think there's something not right happening here. And the president said very simply in 2016, silent no more. And if 1 million people show up tomorrow and march on the plaza here in Washington, D.C., and they recognize the fact that they have been done wrong against, it will be very simply stated, silent no more, because people will come here and they will realize this president gave me a voice, and that is exactly why I'm showing up to Washington, D.C. to express my voice for him.
Absolutely. He's inspired millions of people. We cannot not recognize that as well. Plus, let's look at the economy. Just the other day, the Dow was at an area that if it would have closed at the futures, it would have been an all-time high. And you think about the rebound that the stock market has had, and imagine the roll that we were on going into 2020 and then hit with COVID and the setback we have from that. But not only has he said we're going to make America great again, we're going to make America great again and again and again. And I want to bring Lilith in here as well to talk a little bit about the economy. Get on over, stay in the shot, Phil. That's okay. Let's talk about the economy. I know he's massive here.
You need to check your tall privilege.
Yeah, tall privilege. You can check his privilege card here. But let's talk about the economy real quick. It's been, we've had record highs just about in the stock market. People are seeing that the economy is bouncing back. Obviously, jobs, as we get these states open up from COVID, that's going to help. And of course, here, we were in Pennsylvania, of course, here in the Maryland and Virginia area, the lockdowns are killing the local economies here, folks. We have walked the streets. We have seen restaurants that are essentially 10% occupied at that point.
Even just the airport. So we've been to a lot of airports in the last few weeks, and You walk in through an airport, it doesn't matter what time it is, it could be rush hour, it could be 1 a.m., it could be 4 p.m., and you want to get a bite to eat, and all there is available is like McDonald's. Or you have to walk past 95 terminals to get to a coffee shop or something. I mean, 80% of the airports are shut down. So you're telling me that this store is fine, they can operate, but this store here, no, there's COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you can't go over there. This is a COVID zone. I mean, what's the deal? These people are out of jobs. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Seriously, but that's just the airport, and you walk around town, you see the same thing, and they're all boarded up, they're gone, and you're not just talking 1 or 2 people out of jobs, you're talking about their families, you're talking about management, you're talking about tech, you're talking about so many more people just from one location. That's crazy.
It is crazy. And of course, Philip, what are you seeing? You're down in the Florida. Of course, South Florida being one of the states that is, I guess, open like my home of Texas. What are you seeing down there?
The governor's done a great job. He's handled this with calculated risk. He knows that the virus is an issue. He has recognized that, as I think mostly every governor has, if not all of them. He realizes that this is something, and especially in Florida, the most vulnerable population lives in my state. There is an heavily older population in our state, and our cases, for the most part, have stayed way down, and we haven't had these draconian lockdown measures that have been put in place by these Democrat governors and Democrat-run cities. The governors made a very simple approach. He said, I believe we need to open our economy back. We need to get people back to work. We need to make sure that we're prioritizing, almost like mental health and all that above these lockdowns, and really it's worked out. People are in restaurants.
And Lily, you're a teacher. You see it. Well, and real quickly before we get, let's get a time check here, because if you're just now joining us, we are live from the White House awaiting President Trump's appearance here in the Rose Garden to talk about Operation Warp Speed. So Miles and everybody back at the corporate office, let us know when he goes live on that, because we'll break away from this coverage and go straight to the president. So we're at 4:11. So you'll let us know whenever he goes on. But let's talk about what you see. Kids need to get back to school. Parents want the kids back to school.
The kids want to go back to school. The parents want their kids to go back to school. Do you mind if I hold this real quick? I have so much to talk about this. I'm a public school teacher, and we got to get back to school, people. We got to get back to school. But the other thing I'm going to say is we need to get back to school without the masks and without the gloves and without the hazmat suits, because it's inhumane and it's not realistic. Teachers are quitting because they don't want to put up with that. Parents are pulling their kids out of their districts and homeschooling them or taking them into a private school so that their 6-year-old child doesn't have to suffocate for 8 hours a day. Okay? Seriously, I feel so bad for parents right now, because they're not only having to figure out, they're compromising their job to stay home while their kid is learning online. And in private schools, say for each child, maybe it costs $700 to $1,000 a month. You're paying $1,000 a month for your child to sit at the kitchen counter with their computer. You have got to be kidding me right now. Get these kids back to school. Get everything back to normal. We don't want to wear the hazmat suits. Families, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. I think we're coming to an end sooner rather than later for schools. And let us know in the comment section, are you a parent who pulled your child out of public school? Are they in a private school now? Are they in a Christian school now? Are you homeschooling them now? And you can find me on Instagram, Teachers for Trump. You can tell me too, what are you doing? Because I want to know. I want to know how are families navigating through this really difficult time, through this atrocious time. And we're just hoping for it to come to an end, because we all need to get back to our normal life.
Yeah. Amen on that. We got a little activity just to the left of us. We'll see if the president's going to walk through those doors. I don't know if he is or not, but if he is, Miles, I'll have you direct the camera to the door over there. We just had a military guy step out. If you're just now joining us, we're live at the White House waiting for President Trump to take the Rose Garden to talk about Operation Warp Speed. And obviously, this is his first appearance since the election, so I'd imagine some of those questions might be brought up as well. Let's talk about real quickly, Biden has come out and laid out a little bit of what he's done a lot of taking the office stuff, a little bit of groundwork going on. And it's interesting to see that Bernie Sanders said he wants to be the Secretary of Labor. And I think that's kind of funny, actually. And then Elizabeth Warren being Secretary of Treasury, I believe. But anyway, that gives you a glimpse of what's going to happen under a Biden administration. And that's why it's so important right now that we all pray, number one, that this president is upheld in the court of law, and that some of these states that obviously was involved with some fraudulent activity, that comes to justice, and that brings the vote count towards President Trump's way. And you think about the amount of people that have come out and voted for this president. I saw a stat the other day that he actually had 9 million more votes in 2020 than it did in 2016. Honestly, we've been on the road a little. Think about all the places you've been real quickly. Where was some of the top tours that you were at that you saw the crowds and they blew you away?
You know, I'm glad you asked me that question, because when we were in Carson City, Nevada, I mean, we were about 4 hours away from California for a lot of people, and there was, I want to say, about 80% of the crowd camped out from California. So you're telling me California is blue? California definitely has a chance to be red, if not purple.
And there's counties like around the Beverly Hills area that actually flipped conservative, and of course Orange County as well. I live down there. It's a very conservative state, so we see it out on the road.
Absolutely.
So what stands out to you, Philip, is what some of the rallies that you just saw the people show up big time?
Well, they showed up big time in North Carolina. I was in North Carolina, 2 rallies in 2 days. It was huge, and the mainstream media still has not called North Carolina for the president.
It's almost like not calling Texas or Florida.
Yeah. And it's great. Rudy Giuliani at the press conference the other day in Philadelphia said, he went like this: the media calls the election, and of course the media does not call the election. The states, the electoral courts actually certified the election, and they make the call.
May I add something?
Go ahead.
I noticed that when they called for Biden, we all know that's... Anyway, when they called for Biden, did you notice what happened with the China stock market? It skyrocketed. Can't make this up. It skyrocketed. Is that a coincidence?
Well, in that effect, our market did go up, because I know the financial markets don't like uncertainty. So in either direction, it will get a short-term spike. But I will say long-term, but China stock market, of course, China did. But if you were to look at the U.S. stock market and the policies that would be put in place under a Trump administration, surely they're way better than a Biden administration would be, with the states and businesses opening up. Anyway,
and that's what we mean when we say you're voting for America or you're voting for China. So why is it that when they call for Biden, the China stock market not plummets, it skyrockets? That's insane. That's not a coincidence, people. It's not a coincidence. You're either voting for America or you're voting for China. We voted for America. So
there you go. And we're voting for you at home. If you want to get involved in our broadcast at all and donate to Right Side Broadcasting and keep all of us on the road and keep this coverage brought to you. And of course, tomorrow we'll be scattered across downtown DC. You can go to RSBN Network, rsbnetwork.com, rsbnetwork.com/donate, rsbnetwork.com/donate. Give what you can. I know we were getting the super chats and do it here in a little bit, but we're really kind of waiting for the president to walk out those doors and go take it for the press conference. So we won't get into that too much, but we do definitely appreciate everyone's love and support and prayers. You know, we've talked about prayers along the way now for a year, that it takes prayers right now. And we at Right Side Broadcasting every single night at 8 p.m. Eastern get on a video chain and we pray. And we pray for this president, we pray for this country, we pray for all of you at home, because I feel that the power of prayer right now is what will get us through this. And in fact, the president is not victorious after this election. That I know that this country is in the right hands, it's in God's hands, it's in God's favor, and that we will see President Trump maybe 4 years from now if he doesn't get into this election here. I really feel confident that this man is made of such...
When he gets into the election. We don't say if around here. When he is officially nominated as the 46th President of the United States of America, we will report for 4 more years with you, and we will connect with you. And no matter what happens, we're still here. No matter what happens, we are still going to be here. And the unity in this country is far greater than it's ever been before. You're talking millions of more millions of more votes for President Trump in his second election. President Obama lost, was it 9 million votes in his second term? President Trump gained 10 million.
Well, let's talk about that real quickly, Philip. We've seen the different cultures. If you've never been to a Trump rally, you see everybody. It's just not white America showing up for this president.
Well, yes, that's an important thing to throw in there. I think the Trump base is really a very multicultural base, like I said before. There will be all types of people showing up to support the president. Traditionally, there may have been party affiliations associated with that, but I don't think that's the case anymore. We are now in a new era of politics. President Trump has ushered in a new era of American politics, and the bar has been set at a high level. And going forward, any kind of GOP candidate, any kind of GOP nominee is going to have to meet that threshold. And I think the president set it super high because we're tired of being run by the same establishment politicians who couldn't fire up a base. They couldn't grab people from either side.
And they pandered from year to year onto whatever base that was.
Absolutely. And I think that's the most important thing that the president did. He accomplished that. If that was all he did, which there's more than just that, but if that was all he did, that would be huge because he set the bar going forward, what the Republican Party is going to look like. And that's important. It was a dead party. The president brought it back to life.
Absolutely. And I'll go a step further. I remember hearing these comments on CNN. And they said, look, we've got to give this president credit for getting the American voter up off his butt and voting in an election. We've had historical numbers. So really think about this, Lilith, that President Trump has brought voting to Gen Z, millennials, across the board, and fired them up.
Yeah, it's true. I'm really stunned to know how high school students are very involved in the political arena. And just on my Instagram page, again, if you're interested, Teachers for Trump, I help expose a public education system for those of you that don't know what's happening behind closed doors. Indoctrination. But I have a lot of...
You my entire life, I went through the educational system, and have you?
Someone's got to tell you the truth. We're here to tell you the truth. And a lot of people, I read the comments, oh my gosh, Lilith, you're putting your... No, I'm not. I'm here to tell you the truth. I'm always going to be a teacher. You can't cancel us. If you cancel me, I'll go to another school. You cancel me, I'll start my own school. I still voted for President Trump. There's nothing you can do. Anyways, but to go back to what I was saying, I received so many messages and so many comments from high school students who are actively involved in their school's Republican group, a lot of college students who are involved in Turning Point, who are involved in various conservative groups at their colleges or their high schools. And it's very impressive to see these young kids get a step into the right direction and, try to make a difference with the country.
Yeah.
While, as soon as they can.
Yeah, I think it's important. Of course, a lot of those guys will be out at tomorrow's rally, Turning Point USA, Ron Foynal, and some other, Scott Pressler will be there as well. Let's talk real quickly about social media handles real quick. If you want to follow us, thank you very much. You can also watch us on YouTube, and of course, you're on Facebook as well. I'm at Brian Glenn TV, Brian Glenn TV. That's BrianGlenn TV across the board, all social media handles. And Philip, I know you like to push out the Instagram feeds and the Twitter feeds as well. It seems to be your favorite, but let's hear everybody tell everybody what your handles are.
Okay, they're both at Philip Torino. Philip with one L. Torino is Tirino. You go ahead and follow me there, but most importantly, follow us at RSB Network on all of our social media platforms or visit our website.
There you go. And you
for
have
sure.
teachers.
And Instagram for me, teachers_for_Trump. And parents, continue sharing with me the crazy situations that you're all put in. I read your messages and, share share the information that you're comfortable with sharing with me. And when I share it on my account, it's always anonymous. But you've helped me help families come together and realize that they're all in this together. You're not alone. You're not the only person facing indoctrination. Your children aren't the only children being brainwashed. Your children aren't the only children being fed that Biden is the president and you're a white supremacist for voting Trump and racism and all this stuff. Our kids can't read when they graduate high school. They know everything about TikTok. They know everything about celebrities, but they don't know who the first president was of the United States. They don't know what 1776 symbolizes. You know what I mean?
It's the history course, I think, is what we're losing. Yeah.
They're trying to wipe out, I think it was in Chicago, I don't want to give you wrong information. Maybe it was Chicago. they're trying to get rid of history courses because they're whitewashed.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, well, and that's one of the things the president wanted to do, was kind of change the curriculum there and get more there you go. That's what we need. I literally remember. I remember as a kid, it was a different world back in the 70s and 80s than it is today. Hey, if you're just now joining us, we are live at the White House awaiting President Trump to take the Rose Garden to talk about Operation Warp Speed, and I would imagine get into a lot of other subjects as well. This is the first time that he has made an appearance since the election, and of course we'll be all over DC tomorrow as the Stop the Steal, and of course as Mega Millions March. There's all three marches all coming together, but they all start at Freedom Plaza at noon, and we'll conclude at the Supreme Court. Speakers on hand. I know that Turning Point USA has got a lot of people as well that will be there. So there's a list of speakers. It's going to be massive.
There's so many people coming from all kinds of states. I believe
you drove in. So what was the traffic like when you drove in?
I live
Did you
about
see Trump stickers and flags.
I live about an hour away. I did see Trump flags, Trump merchandise, but I believe Alex Jones organized the caravan starting from Texas, if I'm not mistaken, and so they're picking up
here?
Yes, they're picking up patriots along the way. They're doing MAGA rallies along the way from Texas up, and there's, this is our final destination here in DC tomorrow. So leave us a comment below. What state are you coming from? How far did it take you to get here? And we'll try to say hi to as many as you as possible tomorrow.
It's amazing how many people have DM'd me and said, "Hey, you're going to be there. Is Right Side going to be there?" And of course we're going to be here. And so
the
if you
President
see us,
of the United States.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's beautiful out here this time of year. In the past 9 months, my administration has initiated the single greatest mobilization in U.S. history, pioneering, developing, and manufacturing therapies and vaccines in record time. Numbers like nobody's seen before. No medical breakthrough of this scope and magnitude has ever been achieved this rapidly, this quickly, and we're very proud of it, and I had tremendous help from the military, generals, admirals, and many of the great people at the White House. Operation Warp Speed is unequaled and unrivaled anywhere in the world, and leaders of other countries have called me to congratulate us on what we've been able to do, and we've helped many countries with their ventilators and all of the problems they were having, and I'd like to congratulate everyone involved in this effort. It's been an incredible effort. As a result of Operation Warp Speed, Pfizer announced on Monday that its China virus vaccine is more than 90% effective. This far exceeds any and all expectations. Nobody thought they'd get to that level. And we have others coming which we think will be at equal level, maybe more if that's possible. In July, my administration reached an agreement with Pfizer to provide $1.95 billion to support the mass manufacturing and distribution of 100 million doses, with the option to purchase a total of 600 million doses shortly thereafter. Our investment will make it possible for the vaccine to be provided by Pfizer free of charge. Pfizer said it wasn't part of Warp Speed, but that turned out to be an unfortunate misrepresentation. They are part. That's why we gave them the $1.95 billion, and it was an unfortunate mistake that they made when they said that. We will work to secure an emergency use authorization, which should be coming down extremely soon, and my administration will then coordinate the distribution of the vaccine, and it will be approved. I think, again, it will be approved very, very quickly, we hope. The average development timeline for the vaccine, including clinical tests and manufacturing, can take 8 to 12 years. Through Operation Warp Speed, we're doing it in less than 1 year. If you had a different administration with different people, what we've done would have taken, in my opinion, 3, 4, 5 years, and it would have been in the FDA forever. This is 5 times faster than the fastest prior vaccine development in history, 5 times faster. Say it again, 5 times faster. Nobody can believe it, actually. 3 other vaccines are also in the final stages of trial. They'll arrive within a few weeks, and they will also be mass-produced, and the delivery will be very rapid. We're ready to go. The vaccine will be distributed to frontline workers, the elderly, and high-risk Americans immediately. It will be a matter of weeks. Get out very, very much ahead of schedule. Any schedule that I said we're going to be far ahead of that. We know that this virus primarily targets older populations and those with underlying health conditions, while over 99.98% of those under the age of 50 make a full and quick recovery. By giving the vaccine to high-risk individuals right away, we will dramatically reduce hospitalizations and deaths. Case levels are high, but a lot of the case levels are high because of the fact that we have the best testing program anywhere in the world. We've developed the most and the best tests, and we test far more than any other country, so it shows, obviously, more cases. By vaccinating the elderly and the high risk, we will effectively end this phase of the pandemic and allow seniors to reclaim their golden years, the golden years of their lives, which is so incredible. And it's about time that they can have those golden years. Again, this process is starting right away. Millions of doses will soon be going out the door. They're all ready, waiting for that final approval. As soon as April, the vaccine will be available to the entire general population, with the exception of places like New York State, where, for political reasons, the governor decided to say, and I don't think it's good politically. I think it's very bad from a health standpoint, but he wants to take his time on the vaccine. He doesn't trust where the vaccine's coming from. These are coming from the greatest companies anywhere in the world, greatest labs in the world. But he doesn't trust the fact that it's this White House, this administration. So we won't be delivering it to New York until we have authorization to do so. And that pains me to say that. This is a very successful, amazing vaccine at 90% and more. But so the Governor Cuomo, will have to let us know when he's ready for it. Otherwise, we can't be delivering it to a state that won't be giving it to its people immediately. And I know the people of New York very well. I know they want it. So the governor will let us know when he's ready. He's had some very bad editorials recently about this statement and what's happened with respect to nursing homes and his handling of nursing homes. And I hope he doesn't handle this as badly as he's handled the nursing homes. But we're ready to provide it as soon as they let us know that they'll actually use it. And again, it's a very safe and a great vaccine. Already we have among the lowest case fatality rates, our country, anywhere in the world, the entire world, and we've performed significantly better than our peer countries. As far as therapeutics are concerned, my administration's also made critical investments in therapies that have helped reduce the mortality rate by 85%. That's, to me, one of the most exciting things. It's incredible, some of the antibody vaccines and others that have come out and have really helped people. 85%. Last month, the FDA approved remdesivir, and we've secured enough remdesivir to treat 850,000 patients. My administration finalized an agreement with Eli Lilly to purchase the first doses of their antibody therapy, which shows amazing results. This treatment will be available completely free of cost to patients. 5,000 units have already been shipped, and many more are going out the door as we speak. We're also reached an agreement with AstraZeneca for the large-scale manufacturing of their antibody treatment, which is excellent. We expect to issue emergency use authorizations for a number of additional treatments in the near future. Tremendous promise, but remember the 85% number. That's an incredible number, but we have some tremendously promising drugs online and ready to come out. We have ensured that our frontline workers have all the tools they need. My administration's invoked the Defense Production Act and related authorities over 100 times and have made a historic investment into our industrial base. All states that requested PPE from the federal government have received the PPE almost immediately upon request. Every American who needed a ventilator has had access to a ventilator. Think of that. Very complicated piece of equipment, very expensive. And we haven't had one person in this whole country that has requested or needed a ventilator that hasn't had it. Every single request has been immediately filled. So that was something that was a great job. And now we're helping the rest of the world with ventilators because it's a very hard thing. We're producing them thousands of ventilators a month. The federal government has 22,000 beds immediately available for states and jurisdictions that need additional capacity. But we think that it's going to start going down, possibly very quickly. We'll see what happens. But with the vaccine, you'll see numbers going down within a matter of months, and they'll go down very rapidly. As we continue to combat the virus, our economy is rebounding far beyond any expectations. I see the stock market's up almost 400 points today again, and it's ready to break the all-time record. Our jobs records are incredible. The job numbers are incredible. In the last 6 months, we've created over 13 million jobs and slashed the unemployment rate by more than half. Last quarter, we witnessed the fastest economic growth ever recorded in the history of our country, 33.1%. It's a number that is more than double our highest. That was in 1952, and we've more than doubled it. The United States experienced the smallest economic contraction and the most rapid economic recovery of any major Western nation. We went down less and we went up more, which is quite a combination of facts. While healthy Americans have gone back to work and to school, we continue to spare no expense to protect the elderly and the vulnerable. According to some estimates, a national lockdown costs $50 billion a day and hundreds of thousands of jobs every single day. Ideally, we won't go to a lockdown. I will not go. This administration will not be going to a lockdown. Hopefully, whatever happens in the future, who knows which administration will be. I guess time will tell. But I can tell you this administration will not go to a lockdown. There won't be necessity. Lockdowns cost lives, and they cost a lot of problems. The cure cannot be, you got to remember, cannot be worse than the problem itself. And I've said it many times. And when you look at what happens during a lockdown, I just say it very loudly. It's horrible what happens with drugs, alcohol, depression, loss of jobs, business closures. It's a terrible thing. So this administration will not go, under any circumstances, will not go to a lockdown, but will be very vigilant, very careful. We understand the disease. It's a complicated disease, but we understand it very well. We ask all Americans to remain vigilant, especially as the weather gets colder and it becomes more difficult to go outside and to have outside gatherings. And with that, I just want to ask some very talented people to come up and say a few words. General Perna and Dr. Slaoui have been incredible. The general is really getting started right now, but he's really, what we don't know and what people don't know, he started putting this all together 6 months ago, and you're going to see some real action. So, General, maybe you'll start it off, and then, Doctor, you'll go right after that. Thank you very much. And then we're going to finish it off with Mike Pence. Okay? Thank you. Please. Thank you. Sure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hi, everybody. So Operation Warp Speed's mission is to enable and accelerate the development of vaccines and therapeutics to help control the COVID-19 pandemic and save lives. On May 15th, almost 6 months ago to the day, we stated the goal of the operation, which was to have vaccines and therapeutics available and approved for use in the US population by the end of the year 2020. We said then that while very challenging, the goal was credible and therefore was worth trying with the best, our best to achieve it. Today, we're almost 6 months later, and I think we can say that significant progress has been made. And while we are not there yet, we are close to the objective. Let me share with you some facts. If I look at the vaccine side, we've selected a portfolio of 6 vaccines using 3 different platform technologies, and we elected to have 2 vaccines from each platform technology. First platform is what's called messenger RNA, and 2 vaccines using that platform were in the portfolio, one by Pfizer and one by Moderna. The second platform is using what's called live viral vectors, and we had 1 vaccine from J&J and 1 vaccine from AstraZeneca in partnership with Oxford University. And the third platform was the recombinant protein platform with 1 vaccine from a biotech company here in the US called Novavax, and another one from a partnership between Sanofi and GlaxoSmithKline. These vaccines are now, 6 vaccines are all in the clinical development stages, and 4 of them are in phase 3 trials. And of the 4 that are in phase 3 trials, 2 have effectively completed enrollment in the phase 3 trial, and one of the 2 has announced on Monday, to I think thrilling information, that they had 90% efficacy. That was the Pfizer vaccine, demonstrating that vaccination is possible against COVID-19, that the kind of choices we have made in terms of the antigen selected was effective and made us optimistic that other vaccine may also be effective. On Wednesday, the same week, just this Wednesday, Moderna, the other company with the vaccine using similar platform technology, messenger RNA, announced that they have achieved the number of cases in their trial to allow for a first interim analysis. And I would expect that shortly, probably next week, we may hear what I hope to be another very good information regarding an efficacious vaccine. The 2 other vaccines that are in phase 3 trial that are using the live vector platform, the J&J vaccine and the AstraZeneca vaccine, have recruited already a few thousand subjects in their trials. I would like to take this opportunity to invite as many Americans as possible who would like to volunteer to participate in these clinical trials, as that's the only way we are able to achieve a demonstration of the safety and the efficacy of these vaccines. The last 2 vaccines, the recombinant protein vaccines, are planned to start their phase 3 trials within the next few weeks. And while we are developing this vaccine, we haven't only looked at the clinical development, of course, in partnership with the companies that are the sponsors for the vaccine. We also invested very significantly in the manufacturing of this vaccine in such a way as to, when we have the clinical efficacy demonstration with these vaccines, we would also have vaccine doses to be able to immunize the US population. So the 2 vaccines that are completing their phase 3 trial are likely to be filing their files with the FDA for a potential emergency use authorization within the next few weeks. And hopefully, if approved, they could be used for immunization in the US population in the month of December. And we plan to have enough vaccine doses available for use in the US population to immunize about 20 million individuals in the month of December, and another 25 to 30 million per month on an ongoing basis from there on. And as of the month of February or March, if we have more vaccines approved, such as the live vectored vaccine, we may be able to immunize a larger number of Americans on an ongoing basis per month. Operation Warp Speed didn't only focus on vaccines. We also looked at therapeutics, and we have worked with a number of companies developing monoclonal antibodies in particular that are able to neutralize the virus. As Mr. President said, we have announced partnerships with Eli Lilly, with Regeneron, and with AstraZeneca. And on Monday, Eli Lilly's monoclonal antibody was granted an emergency use authorization to treat patients that are infected and at risk of hospitalization. The Regeneron monoclonal antibodies have been also filed for emergency use authorization, which is currently under review and is potentially reaching approval within the next few weeks. And finally, AstraZeneca just in the last few days has received a green light to start 2 large phase 3 trials with their monoclonal antibodies supported by Operation Warp Speed to prevent the acquisition of COVID-19 disease in very frail subjects or in very high-risk subjects as a protective alternative to a vaccine. So, potentially 2 vaccines and 2 therapeutics may be granted an emergency use authorization before the end of this year. I think it's a remarkable achievement within a period of 6 to 7 months. It is important to note that this progress has been achieved without any political interference. I said it many times, and at every step has been and is being judged by independent expert bodies, whether it's when the FDA grants the green light to go into clinical trials, or whether when the data safety monitoring boards review the safety of the studies on an ongoing basis and sometimes put them on hold, as I'm sure you have witnessed with the AstraZeneca vaccine, for instance. And these same data safety monitoring boards are the independent boards of experts that analyze the efficacy of the vaccines and the safety of the vaccines and tell the companies whether they should progress with the filing of an emergency use authorization or not. So it's not the companies, it's not Operation Warp Speed, it's not the US government, it is independent experts that assess the safety and the efficacy of the vaccines that are being tested. And when the FDA will review these vaccines and these therapeutics, they will also have the advice, public advice, from boards. One of them is called the VRBPAC, that is the advisory board to the FDA for vaccine reviews. After review of the data, transparently and available to everybody to look into, before the FDA then make its decision to either authorize a vaccine or not authorize it. On that basis, I personally feel very comfortable to say that the vaccines and the therapeutics that we have helped develop and accelerate will be judged independently, and if approved, should be used by all in the population. Because I believe vaccination is likely to be the cornerstone among all the other measures that we have to take to help us really control this pandemic. I will now pass to my co-leader, General Perna, who will tell you more about the support that the operation has provided to manufacturing of the vaccine and also to their distribution. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, thank you for allowing me to continue service of our great nation as the co-leader with Dr. Moncef Slaoui on this mission. Let me start by emphasizing for me, what is Operational Warp Speed about? It is about saving lives. And it is a Herculean task that the President put us on many months ago. And as Dr. Slaoui just laid out, we are making steady progress and we are ready to execute. Through the whole of American approach, we have leveraged the best of nation in federal government, local, states, industry, and academia to expand the capacity and capability to achieve our mission. It has been powerful. We have capitalized on the best contracting, logistics, and planning experts available to synchronize and integrate all phases of the operation, from development of the vaccine, manufacturing of the vaccine, and finally distribution of the vaccine. 6 months ago, the capacity did not exist in our nation's pharmaceutical production base. We went to work building brick and mortar manufacturing facilities, bringing in the right specialized machinery and equipment, and prioritizing supply chain materials through the Defense Production Act. Today, we expect to have tens of millions of doses immediately following EUA, and we will distribute them as soon as the FDA applies the EUA. We will do that within 24 hours of the EUA. We are harnessing the strength of commercial industry and the existing vaccine delivery capabilities and infrastructure. Our nation deserves this. Vaccines will be allocated pro rata by population so that we ensure fair and equitable across. We need the states who are part of the planning to accept the vaccine. We are working closely along with the CDC, the 64 jurisdictions and states to ensure vaccine can safely and quickly get to those who need it first. And then we have plans to ensure that it spreads exponentially across our country and that no place is left without a vaccine. At the end of the day, our success is going to be judged by the availability of the vaccine as shots go in arms. It is the partnerships we have formed with the pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer and Moderna, distribution companies like McKesson, FedEx, and UPS, and pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens that have agreed to do things differently, to think, how can we get this to the American people in the most rapid and expeditious way? We will be successful because of this all of America approach, this collaboration, this effort that everybody is leading towards. I will end where I started. This is about saving lives, the lives of the great American people. And we will not rest until we are successful and that we have irreversible momentum to returning our nation back to normal. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, General, very much. Great job. Alex, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, for providing the leadership that's gotten us where we are today. The success that Operation Warp Speed has realized so far has been made possible only because of the bold vision you announced not even 6 months ago, right here in the Rose Garden. To highlight 3 of the remarkable accomplishments we've seen just this week. First, Pfizer announced very promising data on its vaccine candidate. Second, the FDA authorized and we have begun to distribute and administer Eli Lilly's monoclonal antibody to help Americans at risk for serious disease stay out of the hospital. Third, another vaccine company, Moderna, announced that it's reached a critical clinical trial milestone, meaning we may see data from them within days. Back in the spring, we were told by all of the experts that a vaccine was a year or a year and a half away, and the announcements I just highlighted would have been unthinkable. The President said that's not acceptable, and thanks to the support he's provided, we're now on track to deliver a safe and effective vaccine to our most vulnerable this year. As I worked with the President to assemble this team and organize this effort, his support was indispensable at each step of the way. We went out and found the very best people on the planet to do the job, who you just talked with. Dr. Slaoui, the world's most successful vaccine developer. General Perna, one of the world's most qualified logistics leaders. When I first talked to Dr. Slaoui and General Perna about our goals and recruited them to this effort, we dreamed of being at the point we're at today, on track to achieve the incredibly ambitious goal we set together. The President gave us the full financial support we needed, enabling us to invest more than $10 billion to de-risk vaccine companies' development efforts and manufacture product in advance. Our completely unprecedented partnership with the Defense Department has given us a comprehensive public-private plan for distribution and helped each Operation Warp Speed vaccine maker secure what they needed for manufacturing, including Pfizer's ongoing production this week. Operation Warp Speed has always had one goal: saving lives. The President has given OWS the independence it needs to achieve that goal and ensured that we're following the procedures that Americans expect for any medical product they take. At every step, ensuring patient safety has been our top priority. This process has been driven solely by science and data. So it's a shame that some, one example being the governor of New York, have actually injected politics into the process and suggested the possibility of intentionally delaying access to an FDA-authorized vaccine, which is simply unconscionable. Because the President has delivered the full funding we need, the best people on the planet, and real independence for this project, Operation Warp Speed is doing something that's never been done before in history. This success means there is light at the end of the tunnel. Right now is not the time to let our guard down. We continue to encourage Americans to follow the 3 W's. Wash your hands, watch your distance, wear a mask when you can't watch your distance, and avoid settings where you can't do those things. Because of the incredible American spirit, because of what great scientists and public servants and innovators have done through Operation Warp Speed, we have such a bright future ahead of us. If we continue to protect ourselves, our families, and our communities, then I firmly believe that future will be here very soon. Thank you, Mr. President, for making that very bright future possible for the American people.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Mike Pence, please.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and on behalf of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, I was grateful to just have a few minutes today to commend the team of Operation Warp Speed. It was your vision that we could harness the ingenuity and the creativity of America's greatest pharmaceutical and research companies to speed in record time a vaccine that would save American lives. You told the American people that we would have a vaccine before the end of the year, and some scoffed at that timetable. But I can tell you the team on Operation Warp Speed didn't. These great research companies didn't. And as you've articulated here, Mr. President, the American people can be comforted with all the news this week that help is on the way, that literally pending FDA approval of the Pfizer vaccine and perhaps very soon another vaccine that will be submitted by Moderna and even other companies that before the year is out, we'll be able to administer a vaccine to tens of millions of Americans, as you've said, Mr. President, beginning with those most vulnerable, beginning with our seniors all across this country, beginning with our healthcare workers and first responders at the point of the need. It is an unprecedented medical mobilization, the greatest in the history of our country, and I join you in commending this team. Let me also say, Mr. President, that the White House Coronavirus Task Force will be meeting with our nation's governors in our regular conference call this Monday. We'll be reviewing with them the progress on the development of a vaccine, our plans for distribution, but we'll also be reviewing each and every state's specific plans for distributing the vaccine. Continue to urge governors to have those plans developed and prepared and ready for immediate implementation. And finally, Mr. President, as we see cases rising around the country, as we see hospitalizations rising around the country, I want to encourage the American people with the news that as we have done from the very beginning, we're going to continue to move heaven and earth to make sure that your family has access to the level of health care that we'd want any one of our members of our family to have. I spoke to FEMA today, and as we heard reported at our last task force meeting, Mr. President, we're receiving requests from states for PPE, for personnel, but we're meeting all of those requests. And according to our team on the ground, we continue to believe that we'll be able to meet the requests for PPE and equipment, both from the Strategic National Stockpile, also from the commercial market, to make sure that those needs are all met. And the American people can also be confident because of the system that you established that since this past July, we're actually able to track PPE, gowns and gloves and N95 masks on a hospital-by-hospital basis. So we can continue to deliver, as you said, Mr. President, on that extraordinary record in America where no American who's ever required a ventilator has ever been denied a ventilator. No American who's ever required an ICU bed has ever been denied an ICU bed. So the good news today through Operation Warp Speed, Mr. President, is help is on the way. It's on the way right around the corner. As one of the members of our task force said recently, the cavalry is coming, but we want to encourage every American that we're going to continue to make sure that our healthcare system has the resources to support the equipment and supplies that they need. And we also, Mr. President, as we see cases rising, particularly in the heartland of this country, but in communities all across America, we encourage every American, as the Secretary did and as you have, continue to practice good hygiene, wash your hands, practice social distancing, wear a mask when that's not possible. We all have a role to play. We all know what to do to protect the vulnerable, to look after our families and our neighbors and friends. And we encourage every American, with all the good news this week, to continue to be persistent in putting the health of yourself, your family, your neighbors, co-workers, and friends first. And we'll get through this, and we'll get through this together. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mike. And thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
When you said you lost the election, sir.
Just count us down. All right. Welcome back. Of course, inspiring remarks from the president, kind of backing up the plan he had about 6 months ago. We stood there in the Rose Garden talking about Operation Warp Speed, and here we have it today. Great words from the vice president, and of course, getting some military support as well.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how little media there was in there.
It was kind of a private deal, and I can understand they're trying to do a little social distancing as everyone is around here, but very optimistic of the president delivering. And it seemed to me, Philip, it was a little different tone than we're used to seeing the president. We're used to seeing him rally style. We're used to seeing rally Trump. And today we saw a much more different, straightforward, different tone from the president.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think the president is... He laid out a strategy months ago on how he was going to develop the vaccine and bring it to the American people, and now we have a vaccine that's 90% effective. And what he's doing here today is he's meeting with, I believe I saw the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and there's just a ton of people here who are going to be so crucial to getting that vaccine out. And he laid out Operation Warp Speed, which is going to deliver to as many Americans as who need the vaccine in order to combat the virus. So I think that's what the president was doing here today. He's saying, look, I made you a promise how many months ago. This was the plan I set up, Operation Warp Speed, and I'm delivering on it. Here it is, and this is what we're going to do going forward.
Absolutely. He's been very vocal about not locking down the country like the administration that could be occupying the White House here in another 45 days or so. Which it won't. Well, we hope it doesn't. Which brings me to our next topic. We'll be out and about tomorrow along D.C. between really Freedom Plaza all the way to the Supreme Court. And Lilith, I am looking forward to this rally.
Me too. I'm so pumped. There's going to be either about 2 to 3 different rallies combining. So there's a Millions March, there's Stop the Steal, and I believe there's one more. So it's going to be huge. It really will be. There are people coming in from all over the country. And I mentioned before the press conference started that I believe Alex Jones organized a caravan starting from maybe Texas. And so they're doing all these rallies starting in Texas. They're picking up patriots from all these different states, and the final destination is here tomorrow in DC. So leave us a comment below. Will you be here tomorrow? Where are you coming from? We have a lot of patriots driving out from California, camping out from all kinds of states. So people are ready. We're using our voice. We're coming together to peacefully protest what's right. So
absolutely. And of course, the entire Right Side Broadcasting team will be here in D.C. as well. We got Brick Suit Man, which is always a favorite. I can imagine he'll be wearing that. Matter of fact, I know he's wearing that suit today. I saw him up on social media wearing it. But Philip, closing thoughts on not only this press conference, but what we can expect tomorrow.
I think tomorrow is going to be energetic. There's going to be patriots. They're going to be out there supporting the president. The support, like I said before, huge. It's getting bigger every single day, so really props to the president on that. And just one more thing, remember that we are 100% viewer funded, and the way we make things like this possible is through you. So thank you for your donations.
Thank you.
You can do it through YouTube or through our website and help us keep pushing forward the conservative message. What we are doing is really unprecedented. We are one of the few companies who are willing to show the truth and report the truth, and we will continue to do so, but we can only do it through your support. So thank you very much.
we're trying to beat the shadow ban, and that's real. So check us out on YouTube. See if you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell so every time that we go live, because a lot of these things happen last minute. I mean, we didn't know we were going to be here until
2 hours ago. We're here
2 hours prior. So hit that notification bell, subscribe, share our videos, follow us on social media.
Let's give out your social media handles as well, because we'll all be out and about. And of course, tomorrow, keep it right here at Right Side Broadcasting. But if you can follow each one of us individually, we can kind of give you a different perspective.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Teachers for Trump. I'm a public school teacher, and I help just kind of expose what's going on. So Teachers for Trump on Instagram.
So important. Of course, Ali Stuckey talked about schools the other day. I am Brian Glenn TV, BrianGlenn, Brian Glenn TV, of course, across all social media platforms. And my buddy Philip here.
At Philip Tirino, at PhilipTirino. I would appreciate a follow, and continue to follow Right Side Broadcasting Network, and we will bring you all the updates as they come along.
There you go. Until tomorrow, goodbye. God bless. We are live, tossing it back to you from the White House. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.